comes a very, very interesting part, which is called authentication failure. Now, what is authentication failure? So, authentication and identity failure, in simple words, could be where we talk about that when we are verifying the user identity, we missed out on certain things. Or maybe let's say I wanted to let's start with this category actually covers all the way the applications that can just poorly fail to identify that who a user is. So here I am Vandana, but here I try to log in as Gina and I am able to log in as Gina, or I am not an admin and I'm still able to log in as admin. Here I should be using multi-factor authentication, but I was able to play around with it. So here simply I'm having access to everything. Authentication is generally the first line of defense in any kind of application, or it started off when we started thinking of that, yes, I need to have authentication. I have this username and password, I need confidential information. I need to keep it confidential. And if attackers can bypass that mechanism where they get access to the confidential information, that's where we have these authentication failure issues. So weak authentication mechanisms have been behind many of the biggest breaches, whether it's Dropbox, whether it's Equifax portal, whether it's Yahoo, Twitter, and even SIM swaps. So I think that's something which is very key. And attackers don't need creativity. They can just rely on predictable user behavior, or maybe the passwords which are reusable, or maybe weak passwords. So they are able to play around with it, and there are so many weak points that can be here. So, and fun fact, there are when we talk about the whole applications, 2.92% of all the applications, they suffer from this issue. But how does it work? Think about this AWS issue which happened in January 2025, where this AWS IAM credentials account was where the people were able to enumerate, or the attacker was able to enumerate that. And when attackers attempted to authenticate the IAM account by just guessing the username, or how does it look, and they were able to play this attack valid. Now if I know that how does it work, I'll be able to log in as you, or maybe somebody else, or maybe just fetch the data. I don't need to log in as anyone. I just want the data, the right amount of data that is there, and I would love it. And here there are so many things that can happen, right? Whether it's automated attacks, and whether it's default credentials, whether it's brute force, and just using plain text, not using the encrypted things that are there. So I think there's so many scenarios that can happen. So how do you defend against them? Let's implement multi-factor authentication and make sure that you have a strong multi-factor authentication. It's not like, oh, I have a passcode on my phone and I think that's going to work. So do not ship with any default credentials your software. It's very, very important. If you want me to guess it, I think it's super easy. Just Google it, or go to ChatGPT. It'll give you all the information. Um, and most importantly, if you want to know about your personal emails, that have you been pawned, make sure you check haveibeenpawned.com, and it'll tell you whether you're vulnerable or not. Your email address has ever been part of any kind of attack. If yes, please change your password. And ensure registration, recovery, and API pathways are hardened against all these enumeration attacks.